There was a time when drinking water was sipped from a brook or pulled from a well. But as we grew together in bigger and bigger groups and began to understand why and how we needed to keep our water clean, the distance and complexity between us and our water sources grew. Till today, the immediacy, convenience, and safety of our drinking water feels a little like magic. The water, of course, still cycles through the natural world as much as it ever did. Rains, seeps, and runs into aquifers, rivers, and lakes, and out to the ocean, all the while evaporating to form clouds and keeping the water in a continuous cycle. But now we humans have introduced some loops of our own. If water is plentiful, we source it from watersheds, treat it to drinking water standards, and then the used water gets cleaned up at a wastewater treatment facility and is released back into the environment to later be used again by downstream communities and eventually sent to the ocean while we look for new sources of supply, which is just fine until there's less rain and more demand, or we begin to think about the energy it takes to move water across long distances. Then, the most sustainable source of water for our thirsty city may not be removing the salt from seawater or pumping water long distances, but to reuse the used water that we normally just discard. Augmenting our rivers and streams with effluent from water waste treatment plants might be okay for the environment, but we're planning on drinking this, so it's first thoroughly, carefully, and repeatedly processed to remove particles, pathogens, or pollutants at a water purification plant that contains multi-barrier treatment processes and advanced monitoring. Then we have to loop it back into our drinking water, which we can do in a number of ways. We can pump it all the way back up to a reservoir in the watershed or into the ground. Here it mingles with the rain and runoff, flora and fauna, which of course means it gets dirty all over again and needs to be retreated before we use it as drinking water. Or we can simply put the very clean water from the advanced water purification plant straight back into our water supply. These advanced purification systems are used by utilities around the world. All these systems carefully process and test our water supply to ensure standards are met, resulting in a sustainable water supply that is protective of public health.